Howdy folks, Sapper here, aka Sean. Welcome back to the next installment of Main Battle Tank. Alright, so we have just started, we've just completed the, is it the fire phase or direct fire phase? Combat phase, it's the combat phase, direct fire combat step. So we've just completed that, and I want to capture that before I move on to the movement phase. The Americans won the initiative on this turn, so they get to opt whether or not they wanted to shoot first, ask questions later, or let the Russians shoot first. And of course, like any good Americans, we decided we wanted to shoot first and ask questions later. Dirty Harry style. So we'll go ahead and start with Raptor. So we've got Raptor right here. Drew his sights on, there was a pair of T-80s right here, so he decided he's going to shoot at one of them, and as if you couldn't see that marker right there, that's a brew up. So basically he hit the tank and turned it into a 4th of July celebration. So he blew up one tank. The remaining T-80 in that hex on the Russians' turn did fire back, but it was a miss. He had a lot of penalties because, number one, this tank is going to move, so he's doing a fire move command, so it makes your chances a little bit harder to hit. And then he had to shoot through the smoke of the tank that got blown up in the hex with him was producing. So there was a couple penalties which caused him to miss. All right, and then we had a bunch of stuff going on here. So Eagle lined up a shot down here. Looks like a 15 hexes. A hex in this game is 100 meters, so it's 1,500 meters. Lines up his shot, gets a KO result on one of the tanks. There's 3 tanks in that particular hex, so he knocked one of them out. Bad thing about a knockout, yeah, it's still a kill, but it doesn't produce all the smoke and flames and stuff in the hex, so it doesn't do anything to obscure the enemy's vision. Now, smoke works both ways, right? So it affects both the Americans and the Russians equally. But since there's only one American tank firing here, the smoke wouldn't have affected them. But a KO result doesn't produce smoke, so nothing happened as far as it wouldn't have affected their chances to hit. So we got one hit. The other 2 tanks fired back. All right, both of them hit Eagle, but the frontal armor on an M1 is pretty dang thick, and the shots had no effect. When you get hit, you still have to check for bailout, which is something that I didn't do last turn, which basically means, you're getting shot up, and the crew inside gets so rattled and they decided they've had enough, they just jump out of the tank. So I rolled for that. Chances are kind of low. I think it's like a 10% chance. So Eagle did not bail out. He stuck behind his guns. He has good command over the dudes in his tank and said, stay where you're at. You ain't going nowhere. So that took care of these 2 tanks. All right, then we had one T-80 here. He also fired at Eagle. It was a miss. And then we've got 3 artillery guns here in this hex. And what they did was they direct fired smoke. So the first gun fired smoke here, the second gun fired smoke here, and the third gun fired smoke here. So that smoke is going to obscure Eagle, and it is also going to, if our headquarters section, we have a M1 tank here and we have a Bradley as well as a dismount crew, if they were going to shoot that direction, which is a good possibility in later turns because we've got BMPs with infantry, we've got this T-80 that might advance, we'll see how that goes, we've got a platoon of engineers that could come up here, and then there's also another platoon of infantry mounted infantry. They're in BMPs. The BMP is basically the Russian version of the Bradley. It's a tracked vehicle. It's got room for crew inside. It's got a 30mm gun. I think they have anti-tank missiles. So it's basically the Russians' answer to the Bradley fighting vehicle. So we've got a platoon here, and they could all drive down this road, and that smoke is going to help obscure anybody that might pop out right here. So it was a good move on the Russians to shoot some smoke right there. And as long as these artillery guns are right here, and they can see up here, they should be able to keep that area smoked up pretty good. So we'll see how that goes in later turns. So that was it for the direct fire step. Now we've got movement, and the green tokens mean that these guys got move orders, and you can see that there's quite a few move orders on the board. We've got these guys up here. We've got all these Soviet guys here. All these Soviet guys here are going to move. We got these guys here. Wolf, Tiger, Shark. My plans, I think, for them are going to be to back them up over here somewhere. Piranha, he's going to back up over here. Grizz, I think, is going to back up over here because these Soviets are most likely going to take this hill. So we want to get over here somewhere where we can put some distance between us and them. Make things a little bit harder, because the Americans have the advantage, a little bit of an advantage with the distance. But that's it for now. So there we go. We've got three tanks gone now. So keep chipping away, guys. Keep chipping away. Good job, Americans. All right, folks, so movement phase is over, and we had some really interesting things happen during the Overwatch phase, but I'll get to that. So the Soviets got to move first, and as you can see on this southern hill, the Soviets they really pushed forward. T-82 here, or two of them, 3 T-82s pushed to the top of this hill. The platoon of mechanized infantry pushed to the top and then dismounted their guys. Of the 3 T-82s that were in this group, 2 of them moved to there, and then 1 of them moved to there. So in response, Piranha, he pushed away and then flipped around as best he could. So his front is towards the enemy, which is good. So he's here. Grizz was right here. He said, you know what, I'm not going to take on these T-80s at point blank range. So that's his front is facing this way, which is definitely, I mean, he's going to get a side shot, which is probably more than likely going to be the end of him. If the Soviets do get a chance to fire on him during their fire phase. But that's the best that I could do. Tiger Shark was here. He is at the base of this hill, and then Wolf did the same thing. Now they are facing this way. They are facing the enemy. So that's what we have there. And then you can see up here a lot of these. I mean, the Russians really pushed forward here too. This was a big movement phase for these guys. They really decided to push. I'll talk about this giant stack of stuff here in a minute, but basically we had the mechanized infantry pushed to the side of the hill, dismounted. The engineers pushed over here and dismounted. Dog was right here, so they dismounted their engineers. Dog in response backed up. His dismount squad is right here in the thick of things, and then you got Nightcrawler here who didn't move, and his dismount squad is right here. So what happened here, we had these guys here were on Overwatch. This is our headquarters section. Nobody has claimed any of those vehicles, so they are commanderless, so to speak. So this M1 tank fired to the top of the hill, fired at one of these T-80s. It did hit, but because it's a rising shot, basically there was no penetration. So nothing happened. Crew didn't bail out either. And then this Bradley, this is the headquarters Bradley, fired over here at the stack of BMPs. And this is where things got really, really interesting. So the 25 millimeter gun on a Bradley is considered a rapid fire weapon in this game. And what you do is you find out what your hit number is, and then you come over here to this chart. So after everything was said and done, my hit number was a 40. So this is the row that I look at right here. And then you roll the die. And I rolled a 6. So you follow that over. So it falls in there. So then you go up, which means because it's a rapid fire gun, I actually got 4 hits. So I was really excited because I'm shooting at this group of BMPs. Right here, there's 3 BMPs, and you can spread those hits out. And I was like, all right, this is going to be awesome. 25 millimeter gun can penetrate the armor of a BMP, no problem. So the first one was a track hit. I was like, okay, didn't take him out, no big deal, but at least he's not going anywhere. The second was a no hit, and then the third BMP was I think it was a hull hit. So I was like, oh man, here we go. I had a chance to take out all 3 of these BMPs with infantry in one round of combat, and all of them survived. Every single vehicle survived. But when a vehicle's hit, even if it's not destroyed, you have to check to see if the crew bails out. And then, this is where it got really exciting. So let me pull this. This is another thing, a bad thing about these stupid oversized game pieces and the undersized hexes. So I check here. This is the guy that got the hull hit. So crew bails out. Well, when the crew bails out, anybody that's being transported in that vehicle automatically bails out. So that's why this group of infantry bailed out. So basically this vehicle's gone, right? Because once a crew bails out of a vehicle, you can't reoccupy it. So that, for all intents and purposes, that vehicle is out of the game. And then the next BMP that got the track hit, the crew also bailed out. So those infantry guys decided to dip out, and they moved into the woods with that T-80. So infantry do better in woods, so that was a good choice for those guys. So here I thought I was going to get, awesome results as far as, blowing stuff up, blowing shit up. Didn't happen, but I still got really good results on the bailout table. So of those 3 BMPs that were there, 2 of them are out of the game. They're just sitting there, and they're going to be war trophies one of these days. So I thought that was really interesting. We had some infantry combat up here. Basically reduced a Russian squad here. These 2 American dismount squads did some firing and weren't able to actually kill anybody, but we suppressed a bunch of folks. So that is main battle tank at the moment. And actually I think, yeah, that'll do it for turn 4. So we'll see what happens in future turns. Wish Grizz some good luck. Wish Piranha some good luck. The M1 seem to be able to shrug off most of the shots that are thrown at them, but Bradleys are definitely a little bit softer. So we'll see what happens. Peace.